China's in a position of real strength, and that could put us in a very weak position if Xi Jinping decides to call our bluff.
Well, everything you just said suggests to me that the importance of allies has almost never been greater, right? And I mean, when you say that Trump talks a big game and is bellicose in a way that people like myself find agitating, for the most part, all of that bellicosity is directed again at our friends or our erstwhile friends, right? So my concern is that the people who should be standing shoulder to shoulder alongside us in any hot conflict or nearly hot conflict with Russia or China are now thinking that we have some kind of maniac in charge who decided as almost his first act of his new presidency to effectively attack Canada and Denmark and Mexico. And he says nothing. I mean, he doesn't talk a big game against our actual adversaries. And he doesn't say a bad word about Qatar that funds terrorism and harbors Hamas, et cetera, and has given tens of billions of dollars to American universities to spread their delusional anti-Western propaganda. I mean, this is all like if you wanted to dig into a defense of the West and a defense of a liberal democratic order and what actual realism could look like in a sustained conflict with the enemies of that order, it seems to me we need to get. I mean, again, coming back to what you briefly mentioned, J.D. Vance's remarks at Munich, right? A wake-up call to the West, right? Perhaps is needed, but it seems to me that Trump and Vance are doing their best to fracture any kind of Western alliance against its adversaries.
Let's take you back 4 years. Time travel is what historians do, but this is a short year. And let's remind ourselves of the things that were said in the first 100 days of Joe Biden's administration. The adults were in the room. Alliances mattered again.
Some were so adult that they were clearly no longer conflict of interest.
A little over adult.
Yeah.
And that was the line that the Europeans took, and many commentators in the United States. It was also going to be a transformative presidency. You may remember this from people like Michael Bachelet. It was going to be up there with Roosevelt and Johnson. And all of this struck me at the time as completely absurd. And sure enough, my prediction 4 years ago was just the Biden administration would be like the Carter administration, but with dementia, turned out to be about right. Because what happened was they made a big inflation mistake by throwing a ton of money at the economy, which they didn't need to do, because the pandemic was basically over. And they made a series of things that completely antagonized the allies that were so happy to see them. They pulled the plug on the US and allied presidents in Afghanistan without really telling any of the NATO partners what they were doing. They did it in the most chaotic way possible. That sent a signal that was picked up loud and clear in Moscow and Beijing. In 2021, they wholly failed to deter Putin from preparing an invasion, even when Putin signaled what he was going to do in July of that year, publishing an article on the historic unity of the Russian and Ukrainian peoples, which was a declaration of intent to do handshakes. And it proceeded to be exactly the same in the following 2 years with respect to the Middle East, which they thought they'd somehow pacify on the very eve of the October 7th, 2023 massacre. So the Biden administration, which I think broadly agreed with your terms of reference, allies matter, all that kind of stuff, were a disaster. It was a succession of failures of deterrence that produced two major wars that the United States seemed incapable of doing anything to stop. If that's your thinking setting for Trump 2.0, the real failure of whatever was left of liberal internationalism, the Obama foreign policy in its Biden-Harris incarnation, did create an opportunity for the new sheriff to say, you know what? The Allies are weak and suck, and the bad guys are strong. We need to be careful. He certainly, I think this is, here I'm going to paraphrase what I think the Trump inner circle thinks. We do not want to be simultaneously in a fight with Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea. And I think that's interesting because there are some people inside the administration who think we should. Here's the central rift that I see within this Munson administration. Many of the people who've been appointed to key jobs, with Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, a bunch of people who are going to deal, a bunch of people in the National Security Council, think that there is an axis of authoritarians. China leads it, Russia's number two, Iran is number three, no more Japan is number four. And we have to deal with this axis because if we don't deal with it effectively, we end up rerunning the lives of the process. I think there are plenty of people in the administration, as well as in Congress, who will agree with what I just said. But what's interesting is that the president's inner circle, which includes people who don't have formal jobs, like Tucker Carlson, think completely differently, namely that the axis is too powerful. It would be much better to at least consider the key members. And Trump himself, even before he was inaugurated, was sending signals, particularly to China, that he intended to pursue détente. He invited Xi Jinping to come to the inauguration. He says he wants to go to Beijing himself and do a deal of some kind, we don't know what. So Trump, although he has quite a hawkish national security team, himself, I think, inclines towards détente, to use a word that has not been used for a while. Détente, particularly with China, but also with Russia. And he certainly wants to end these wars. And I think the motivation is not to shock and appall liberal Americans. The basic objective is to reduce American military commitments because they seem too great. Can we talk about Ferguson's law, Sam?
Yeah.
Ferguson's law, named not after me, but after Adam Ferguson, the great enlightenment Scot, one of the great thinkers, not as famous as the other Adam Smith, but should be, argued back in the 1760s that public debt, though a very attractive device, was ultimately a source of weakness if it got too large. And I tried to formulate this more tightly in a piece that just appeared last weekend. And the argument is in the Wall Street Journal. The argument was, if a great power is spending more on interest payments on its debt than on defense, it won't be a great power for much longer. And I tried to show that this has been true all the way back